Hello, this is One Mana Left, and we are like 5.5 days from the Path of Exile 2 early access launch, and we've been getting slowly trickled some information. People are starting to put together like borderline functional trees. We've got a skill planner site now. These are very crude tools. They're not, complete, but with what information we have right now, people are already starting to do some build planning. We've seen some numbers, we've heard some Q&As talking about how mechanics work, how things scale. And in this video, I'm just going to go over what my plan is for my first build of early access. So I am going to pick based on a couple pieces of information. One, it's got to seem cool. That's like, gaming rule one, right? So there's two builds that I've seen so far that sound cool. The first one's Archmage. And I do intend to play Archmage in a little bit. But Archmage has some problems because it's a very pass-fail build on does it even work or not. And there are questions we need to have answered on how to solve certain problems that with the information we have, it'd be hard to go in planning for that. So I will probably do Archmage as my second build with more information. The other build centered around a skill called Hammer of the Gods. So there's been some changes mechanically in PoE 2 that I think make this playstyle very good with a really big ignite. It sounds simple, but if you go into Path of Exile 1, ignite works roughly the same way. The bigger the hit, the bigger the ignite. There's a couple changes in PoE 2 that make this more appealing toward a really big hit skill. The first is now it benefits from pretty much all damage that's fire, but it doesn't do as much of the weird, like, hit scaling that scales the hit but not the ailment, or like crit multi doesn't work. There's all these weird calculation rules in PoE 1 that have really just neutered Ignite, and a lot of those rules are gone for PoE 2, and they tried to simplify it down to just like how big was the hit. Okay, that's how big the ignite was. It's 25% of the hit per second. So, in a sense, it's just more damage based off that hit. The other thing is the chance to ignite is based off of the size of the hit. Now, there's sources of ignite chance all over the tree if you go into the fire areas. But basically how it works is it rolls how big was the fire damage hit and what's this monster's ailment threshold. And based off the ratio of those two things, what was our ignite chance? Take that chance multiplied by your percent increase chance, and then roll that. And I could go into the math, but it should, even on bosses, on a really big Hammer of the Gods, get 100% ignite. But another thing that makes this really OP is the fact that in PoE 1, basically every single strong skill, every really hard-hitting single-hit skill, automatically gets slapped on a reduced ailment tag. So, like, I'll give a few examples of this. For example, if I go to Flame Blast, naturally a hard-hitting skill, right? Well, Flame Blast specifically says, let's just like max it out, 2120. Specifically says 165% more spell damage for each stage, but only 60% damage with ailments. So they deliberately scale them separately. It's an automatic nerf tied to the skill. What about, other skills that hit really hard? Every hard-hitting PoE 1 skill has an example of this. Like Vol Flicker Strike does 25 hits that are all hit as a single hit. Naturally, this would be an amazing hit for ailments. Well, no fun allowed. They slap on a 70% less damage with ailments tag. So this is pretty standard for PoE 1. The ignite is based off the biggest hit, basically, and big hitting skills get penalized for ignite deliberately. There is no such penalty on Hammer of the Gods. Maybe they'll swoop in at the last second and add this. If they don't, I think Hammer of the Gods Ignite will be doing insane damage. And I'll go over kind of how I'm going to scale some of this. I even did a little bit of math on this. This is a level 11 Hammer of the Gods, because that's what was shown in one of the playthrough videos. So this percent effectiveness would go higher, up to like gem level 20. And with very, very conservative estimates on how much ignite effect we can get on the tree, like I think I calculated 100% ignite effect, or maybe 1 or 200% ignite effect, which I guarantee there's more than that. It made for an effective ignite that was equal to 27,000% weapon damage. That's before factoring in support gems. So I have a setup right now. The gems are a little TBD. You actually have the ability to link these. So even though we don't have POB yet, I'll maybe link this in the description. But just kind of my placeholder is Hammer of the Gods, Eternal Flame, which is 100% increased ignite duration because it's a long cooldown skill. The goal of this is to one-shot bosses. And then it's less ignite chance, but the idea is the initial hit's going to be so hard, it's going to be like well over 100% ignite, even on bosses. Because bosses in this game have lower ailment thresholds than their full HP pool, unlike rares and stuff. Because they want to be balancing bosses around, like, you know, ailment skills still. So it's actually easier to ignite a boss than, like, a really tanky rare. But Searing Flame, the description doesn't show here, but Searing Flame is 25% less hit damage and 75% more ignite damage. Which those should both affect, but it's basically 0.75 times 1.75, which is like 31% more. So 31% more ignite there. Fist of War, we don't have a description for what the Ancestral boost is, but the way Fist of War works in PoE 1, this is the most no-brainer link ever. I'm guessing it's a little bit weaker in PoE 2, but I would say if it doesn't make sense to use Fist of War with Hammer of the Gods, it literally doesn't make sense to use Fist of War with any other skill in the game. So if this isn't good with Hammer, this is a useless support. So I'm assuming it's good. We'll see. Rage Forged, we'll get to my rage generation later, but 35% more damage. Weapon Ellie's 25% more. There's other supports. There's Added Fire. There's Hourglass if you really want to one-shot a boss, but it's 50% more damage plus 8-second cooldown. They've changed supports now, so there's a rule that you cannot use the same support gem twice. So you have to be careful about your gem links to only use the same support gem twice. I'll go over that a little more in a little bit. But yeah, the idea is to target a playstyle. We're going into a game that you would think is going to be difficult. And we have endgame fights, endgame bosses, where you only get one death and you're out. So you have to win the first try. So I'm attempting to make a character that's fairly tanky. So I'm probably going to pick Titan, unless Warbringer has some really good nodes that we haven't seen yet. So the idea is just kind of make a thick Titan. And I'm going to use the Titan's Grip Keystone, which allows the use of a shield and a two-handed mace together. I'm probably going to be going into shield scaling, and I'm probably going to get armor and go for Aegis with a little bit of energy shield. I might do some hybrid bases and have like 1k energy shield just for the Aegis, just for, really easy recovery on trash monsters. Because I think just sprinkling in a little bit of energy shield on the life builds, if you have like something like that, just makes sense. But the idea then is a play style where basically rares and uniques don't exist. Because I've done a little preliminary math, and we saw a Zesht 0 fight, and the boss had about 6 million HP. We don't know how much they gain by leveling up to Zesht 4, but based off of a little bit of napkin math, I do believe that Zesht 0, 6 million HP, I do believe I can one-tap. I think I can kill that with one hammer. This is making some fairly conservative estimates on like a 300 average damage weapon. We'll see. But the idea is, how difficult can the game be if there are no rares or uniques? How hard is a Path of Exile game that's only white and magic monsters? Because the second I run into a rare in a map, and the second I run into a unique boss, something's going to happen.
Let's bring the hammer down.
That's going to happen. So effectively, this playstyle will be there are no bosses and there are no uniques. They get hammered. And then you just need to have clear skills that take care of trash. And that's pretty easy. Like, trash, the disparity in health between a white monster and a unique is like over 100 times. In some cases, it's like 500 times. So remember, though, we have the rule that you cannot double use support gems. So it's nice to actually pick a clear skill that uses different support gems than your main skill. And it's also really nice. We like in PoE1, movement skills are really abundant, and you can just like leap slam all over the map, or like frost blink or flame dash, whatever. It's really easy to just get movement through movement skills. In PoE2, there are very restricted few movement skills. Generally, you're going to be running and using attacks to clear. So I figured that having a clear skill that charges forward as part of the skill, like it's kind of like shield charge. It's movement baked into the skill, and then it does a 3.2 meter impact. I'm gonna bake in, if we have Ignite Prolif, I'm gonna do that. If we don't, this is out. AOE, but it uses a lot of support gems that you wouldn't use on Hammer, like Momentum. After moving at least 2 meters, you deal 40% more damage. So since this is kind of like a shield charge skill where you run forward and then do a big AoE, Momentum works on this skill. Same with Stomping Ground. There's another support called Jagged Ground that I might use. Otherwise, I'll use Close Combat. I'm not sure yet. But the idea is I'm just going to clear with Stampede, and the whole purpose of this skill is to clear white and magic monsters. Anytime I see a big rare, we're bringing the hammer down. Anytime I see a unique boss, we're bringing the hammer down. So I just need to have a like nice quality of life clear skill. I'm also throwing in a supercharged slam here just for cases where hammer's down and I have something with high HP. Like maybe I just one-shot a rare with hammer, and then 2 seconds later there's another juiced rare. Supercharged slam is kind of the medium skill here. It's going to be harder hitting than the Stampede, but not as hard hitting as the hammer. So it's just kind of there to like either finish off a boss that's on low HP, or just to single target down a rare when hammer's on cooldown. But I'm going to go over some links that are just really broken. Like, I'll go over the most broken one last, but the Warcry setup is going to be really good. Because if it follows the same as PoE1, uniques are counted as 20 energy. But there's an energy hierarchy system on rarity of the monsters. It's 20 for a unique, 10 for a rare, 5 for a magic, and 1 for a white. That is really easy to get 100 power on Infernal Cry. It literally just needs 1 unique monster, or 2 rares, 4 magic monsters, whatever. So I'm assuming it's going to be, maybe it's not the same, but I'm assuming with being in the Warcry area of the tree, it shouldn't be that hard to get max power Warcries. And having max power Warcry, Infernal Cry will give you 100% of damage as extra fire. I will most likely take Avatar Fire then, and try to basically full convert fire. But some of these Warcry supports are insane. Enraged Warcry makes the main attacks deal 30% more damage. So that's like a 7 link to your main skill. 20% more damage. There's your 8 link. Calling Strike. There's your like 8.5 link. Raging Cry to generate rage. It should be 16 at 20 power, but this doesn't specify a maximum. The main skills specify 20 max, but like in PoE1, the max Warcry power is 150. So if you're surrounded by monsters, or there's like a boss and 2 rares that it summons or something, like if you get a 50 power Warcry, that's like instant max rage. But I don't even know what Daze does, but just to fill out a 6 link, we can daze enemies for 4 seconds. I don't know what this does, but it's a 110 multiplier, and I have a link open, so we'll see. But the most broken thing on the tree right now is Blasphemy. We've seen a lot of the reservation skills. Blasphemy is 30 spirit. You get 180 by default by beating the campaign. It is 30 spirit for Blasphemy, okay? Temp Chains, Enfeeble. Well, I'm going to pause here and just say that this might need to use 2 separate links. I might give Herald of Ash the boot if I have to do that. We'll see. But Blasphemy clearly states that it works with multiple curses because it's 30 per curse. So obviously it's intended to be used with multiple curses. We'll have to see how the gem structure is dictated by that. But the numbers on Temp Chains and Enfeeble are absolutely insane. Like a level 3 Enfeeble is 16% reduction on a unique. Level 3, okay? So based off of like context clues, it's most likely 15 at level 1 and then 0.5% per level. So a 20 gem would be about a 25% reduction on a unique. And this is just an aura that's around you statically. And as far as we know, bosses in PoE 2 do not have curse suppression or curse reduction. Temp chains, I don't know if I can scroll down and see it. It's like a 35% slow. It doesn't show here. Maybe it shows here. It shows on one of these. If I go to active skill gems and go to temp chains, level 11 is a 34% slow. Okay? But wait, there's more. So if this scales up to like 40 at level 20, some wacky things can happen here. Because there's another support called Encumbrance that says supported skills have 30% increased effect of slowing debuffs against enemies. I see not one example of why this wouldn't work with temp chains. So that was scaled at 40 up to like 52. And then there's Heightened Curse, which is a 150 reservation multiplier that doesn't show here. So that would make this whole thing only cost 90 spirit, only half your spirit. And that would take the effect of that 52 temp chains up to like 63. And that would take the effect of the Enfeeble up to like a 32% damage reduction. I do believe this will work, and this will 100% be nerfed. Like, there's no shot. They'll either lower the effect of the curses, or they'll increase the spirit cost to like 60. But this is definitely getting nerfed in like the first balance patch, but as far as I can tell, this does work. It just does. Whispers of Doom is one passive point. It's a keystone in like a spot that a lot of builds are going to be going. Like, there's some good Ignite nodes up here. There's each one of these small nodes gives increased effective Ignite. It's one of the new stats they've added. So it's just an entire other scaling vector for Ignite. It's a straight multiplier. If you get 200% increased effective Ignite, that's 3 times damage with Ignite, which makes it go from, before any other scaling or gems or supports or anything, the main Hammer of the Gods, it would already be burning for baseline 75% per second before other Ignite modifiers. Because there's others. There's like, they burn faster. There's Eternal Flame, gives them double duration. The other one is 31% more multiplier. So the math comes out to like whatever the hammer hits for, which will be a lot when you Warcry with a 6-link Warcry to empower it and make it like a 9-link. That hammer is going to hit really hard. The Ignite is going to end up doing probably like 2 times the hammer initial hit per second for like 8 seconds. It's going to be like 17 hammers of damage with like some pretty conservative estimates for how much dot multi we can get. Or not dot multi, Ignite effect. But like there's nodes all over the tree that give Ignite effect. Like there's Immolation here is a notable 25% Ignite effect. Like these are additive with each other, but that's just a straight multiplier on what's already based off the initial hit amount. So it's just another scaling vector that's directly multiplicative. Like I said, I'll link this. I have just Leap Slam, faster attacks, Inspiration, Holy Descent. This means when I Leap Slam, I get Consecrated Ground underneath me. And I don't imagine this will be faster than running like it is for PoE 1, but this is just to gap jump. Like, you know, you have a map, there's a gap, you jump it, simple, right? Or you have like a height change where you're down here and you want to get up here, so you Leap Slam. So this isn't going to be like replacing running at my current attack speed in like what we've seen in trailers for PoE 2. But this is just a gap jump. Herald of Ash, Defiance Banner with just more duration. I don't even know if this works, but as far as I can tell, shock support just gives a straight flat shock chance that is independent of lightning damage of the hit. You might think, no, that's just increased. No, that's what this gem does. This gem gives 100% increased shock chance. That is not what this says. This just says 20 flash shock chance, so I don't know. The Lightning Storm skill itself also specifies 25% chance to shock. That is worded as if it's a flat shock chance, so I don't know if this will work, but if it does, it's just something to drop on a boss for a 30% more damage, and then, you know, bring the hammer down. But yeah, I'll link this. Everything I've said is very subject to change. You know, nobody knows exactly what's going on right now. We're just making our best guesses based off information given to us. If you've watched my videos in the past, you know, I'll oftentimes before the league announce that this is going to be the strongest endgame build in the game. And I have a pretty good streak of being right on that. I would be insane to make such a claim right now because like there's so much unknown. I don't know if this will be strong. Like okay, no, let me back that up. I am very confident this will be strong. I would be insane to say this will be the strongest thing because there's going to be some broken things out there probably. We'll see. But this is the most like straightforward scaling that I see that's going to make the early stages of the game just kind of like auto win. The nice thing too is we've seen trailers of active block where you can raise your shield and block 100% of incoming hits from the front until you reach your stun threshold. Well, the whole warrior area has tons of stun threshold build and a lot of block nodes. So with Titan's Grip for two-hand mace and shield, the nice thing is you can't really deal damage with your active block up. But if I walk up to a boss and bring the hammer down, I'm just playing the waiting game at that point. Like me hitting with Stampede or Supercharged Shock or Slam, whatever, that's not going to increase my damage. That boss is going to have like a 7,000% weapon damage per second ignite on him. Whatever I'm doing else won't make a difference on that. So it'll be a really cheesy way to beat bosses, I imagine, to basically just drop the hammer and then raise your shield and just wait 3 or 4 seconds. Because at that point, you're only playing defense. The fight's already over. Something, something, Ome, Mao, Wa, Shindaru, whatever. So, that's the plan. Obviously, more information can come out. I'll update this if there's more information that drastically changes this, but that's my plan for now. I'll see you guys next time.